Hey, you guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm super excited to share with you what's new in my collection over the past few months. There are a bunch here. Two were sent in PR. The rest I purchased with my own little hard-earned dollars before. Well, one of these was a fail. Let me just say that. And then there's two that I just have some other kinds of thoughts to share with you about, and the rest were wins. Before I get into it, I need your help. I haven't gotten into the whole tray thing. Like people film videos with trays of fragrances that they plan to wear for the month, which I love. I absolutely enjoy watching those videos. I haven't filmed those kinds of videos yet, but I did want a tray. I wanted a tray. And so I found a tray on Amazon that I am head over heels for, but I need your help. Let me show you what it is, and then I'll ask for the help. Look how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is actual, is it marble? I think it's marble, made out of real marble. And I think it was about $50 or so. I'll link it below if you're interested. And I absolutely adore the pattern in this. I think it is gorgeous. I love the earthy tones. I like the gray with the gold, with the bronzy and the creams and all of that. The issue is it's small. I kind of want something maybe that much bigger. And the reason that I wanted a tray is because I want to be able to put my new fragrances on the tray, not like a monthly tray thing, but new fragrances, and then just have it back here. Because if you've been watching the latest videos, they've just been sitting back there all willy-nilly and disorganized and sad. Like they just was just mumble jumble back there. I like the idea of organizing them here, and then they're there for me to talk about in videos, and I can choose them off of the tray to continue to try out before I actually home them on my shelves. So my question to you is, if you know of something like this that's made of beautiful natural materials, nice heavy piece, I'm not looking for the glass ones. Those are beautiful too. The ones that have like the gold or the silver handles, gorgeous. But I really would like something made out of natural materials. It can be wood or it can be stone, but I want a lot of movement in it. So for all of you out there that are great home decorators and you know exactly where to shop and you have links to something, can you drop it in the comment? I hope that it takes your link, because sometimes if people drop comments that have links in the comment section, YouTube will think you're trying to sell something or spam or whatever and remove it. So hopefully that won't happen. Okay, but isn't this pretty? So pretty, off of Amazon. Absolutely am in love with it. I just want it to be about 4 inches bigger. That's all. All right, let's get into these fragrances. See, look how pretty that is. That is so pretty. Today, I want to start off with a special gift from House of Sillage, and it is Batman. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, Batman. This is the limited edition version that is commemorating the 85th anniversary of the character Batman since the release of that. 85 years. Wow. Who watched Batman as a kid? Who enjoyed when Batman and Robin went down into the Batcave? And when they came back out, did they fight in the Batcave? I don't remember. I feel like I saw some fight scenes in the Batcave, but when they were out and about doing their vigilante work out in Gotham City and they got into fights. Remember the old versions of Batman shows, movies, all of that had like they would punch and there would be like a star-shaped emblem and it would be like pow, bam, boom. So I have fond memories of Batman. But I wanted to talk about this fragrance because it is a newer version, the bottle of the older The Batman that House of Sillage made a while back. And I also wanted to point out before I get into it that the bottle reminds me, let me show you the bottle. Look how pretty this is. This is the newer one. The bottle reminds me of the mood of the latest Batman movie. I think it was released in 2022, if I remember correctly. It's about 3 hours long, maybe a little bit longer. And it had this really sort of dark, noir kind of atmosphere in the movie, this sort of foreboding, dark, intense nighttime feel throughout the entire movie. The way that the movie was filmed, the filters that they used, all of that. I don't think you see daylight in that movie, maybe until the very end, if I remember correctly. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. Batman is sort of up on a building, kind of looking out over the city, and either the sun starts to come up or the sun is setting. But even then, you don't get full daylight. So this bottle reminds me of that. Like, let's talk about the two bottles. This is the original The Batman. I purchased this myself when it went on sale recently, and it was probably going on sale in anticipation of this one dropping. And so I grabbed that bottle This is really neat. So for those of you that are Halloween fans, this reminds me of Halloween. And when I saw it on the website, I was like, that would be great for the fall. And I know that it sells out quickly, so I'm going to grab one now. How cool would that be for my Halloween lovers, my spooky movie night lovers? It has the little bats on it. It's got the encrusted, the Swarovski encrusted, Batman symbol completely there, all of that. This particular bottle has almost like this dark blood color, cherry blood color down here at the bottom, this ombre effect, and then it gets darker as it goes up. This particular bottle is also in an ombre effect, but it's like a midnight blue, a lighter blue down here, and then you go into almost like a blackish blue up here. This bottle here, the differences are, if you care, because here's the thing, like with House of Sillage, the cupcake experience is just as important as the fragrance experience. So let me pause and say I went down the House of Sillage rabbit hole. I became an affiliate with them in the fall. And so naturally, I started to look at the website and see, I always go to the sale tab. What do you all have on sale? And so I went from 0 cupcakes to many cupcakes in a short period of time, so much so that I dedicated an entire shelf to them because they are so fun to look at. And I was like, why have I slept on these cupcakes all this time? They're so dang pretty. Anyway, the difference is here. There's the difference in the top. So this reminds me a lot more of Halloween. This is more artistic and interesting in some ways. Both are cool. This is obviously the traditional Batman symbol with the oval there. And you still have the encrusted Swarovski dark crystals there. And then you have the Gotham City skyline around with a little crystal for each of the windows, which I just think is precious. Let's talk about the fragrance. I have to say, this reminds me, it is the same fragrance. These are the same. So this is just new packaging. Reminds me so much of Oud Bouquet from Lancôme. They are not identical, but they resemble each other. They favor each other, as we say more casually. But what I do like about this is it's a little bit more candied and less heavy. So Oud Bouquet can be a difficult fragrance to wear for a lot of people because it is so much. It's like a lot to tolerate that fragrance. And you have to be in cold weather for the most part, or really chilly weather, because it's so heavy on the like oudy woody aspects, that really sweet praline, the heavy rose, all of that. This has a lot of that, but almost like a little bit lighter wearing. It's like Oud Bouquet light is kind of how I think about this fragrance. And I love some of the notes in here. Candied apple, pear leaves, and magnolia in the opening. You have a little bit of a smoky rose. I mean, smoky is different for different people and you have different tolerances for it. That's where I would say this is a little bit more like Oud Bouquet, and it has that sort of like smoky nighttime thing happening, that part of it. There's violet and leather, and then sandalwood, musk, patchouli, moss in the base. But mostly for me, a nice warm vanilla and woodiness. So this, whereas you got in Oud Bouquet that praline note, this is a little bit more candied and bright at the top than that one is. And you still get that beautiful sort of rose leather thing happening there in the middle. And then this nice woody vanilla in the base. It is very sexy, very nicely wearing. This one stays on me for quite a long time, like Lancôme. This one stays on me for quite a long time. It's an all-day wearer. I would think of this more so as a date night kind of fragrance or an evening affair kind of fragrance. And I would wear this in the warm weather. So this is gorgeous. You all watch the House of Sillage website, check out their sales section. They run some of the most amazing sales. And if there are cupcakes that you have kept your eye on, see if they go on sale and get yourself a fantastic deal. When I tell you that I enjoy looking at these little bottles in ways that I never imagined before I started to explore the house, I adore them. That shelf brings me joy and happiness. I'll put a little footage in here of that shelf. When I looked at that shelf, I'm like, God, those are pretty, and I want more. So thank you to House of Sillage for this absolutely fantastic gift. All the bottles have the name like that, the Batman, and then House of Sillage, and they're just really nicely done. And for those of you that are diehard fans, it's also on the inside of the cap. So between the lovely box, which is a whole sort of experience in and of itself, if you know someone who is a Batman fan, that's how it opens, and then the fragrance sits in there nicely protected. This is such a cute gift. So all of this will be linked below if you are interested. Thank you again to House of Sillage for this lovely, generous gift. So the cupcakes make me think of Florida. If you watch my April Fragrance Awards and you stayed till the very end, I shared how I decanted some of my Mickey Mouse and other cupcakes that remind me of Disney and Universal, Hufflepuff, Avatar, and took the decants with me. And so it made me think about Florida and my trip there for spring break, and then a fragrance that I picked up in Florida that I didn't even know existed. So raise your hand in the comments if you know the brand Johnny Was. It's a clothing brand. They're known for this sort of bohemian hippie style of garments that have these nicely embroidered flowers in them. Years ago, I wore a pair of Johnny Was jeans that had embroidered flowers in them, and they were really, really cute. Anyway, they have a line of fragrances. Who knew this? I did not know. I was in the boutique at the hotel and was looking at the Johnny Was dresses and shirts and things like that, and noticed this little shelf of these cute little fragrances. This one happened to be the only one out there that had any juice in it to test. The others were empty. I loved the box for these. They were colorful and beautiful. And I was like, a Johnny Was fragrance? Say no more. I want to try it. And this is called Desert Night. I mean, the fact that it's called Desert Night is super intriguing to me for other reasons. So years ago, I wore a fragrance that Aveda made that was called Joshua Tree. Does anybody remember this? I had mine in like a travel size container. I don't even remember if they came in full size. And there were 3 in the line. I forget the names of the others, but I had all 3. So the Joshua Tree fragrance was supposed to smell like the desert at night, like whatever the flowers were that are blooming there, all of that. So I've always been interested in this notion of like desert smells. So Desert Night, like say no more. I really wanted to try it out. It's got these little butterflies on it, the top. And so I sniffed and thought, that's nice. I really, really like that. I kept thinking about it. I sprayed it on myself. The disappointment here is that it doesn't last. This one is, you might get a good hour of decent sniff, and then it gets so close to the skin after that. You still smell it, but it's just so close that you're like, what happened here? So that's a disappointment. You know, can I get a couple of hours out of a fragrance? This one, in the world of fragrances today, is not terribly priced. This bottle is, I think, 90 something dollars. It's available on the Johnny Was website, and I'm not sure where else you can get it. It's in certain boutiques and all of that. The description for this on the website: this is infused with woody notes of sandalwood. The perfume is defined by the freshness of water lily and sensual undertones of night blooming jasmine, conjuring images of warm nights and the sweetness of summer. I agree with that. So the key notes that they feature are sandalwood, night blooming jasmine, and water lily. I do think it has this freshness. The sandalwood is very much the type of sandalwood that if you pick up pickle in sandalwood fragrances, you're going to pick up pickle in here. There's that P again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You're going to get dill. But for those of you that don't suffer from that and you actually smell sandalwood in the way that's intended to be smelled, you might really enjoy this. It's a gorgeous sandalwood with a light freshness and a floral touch from that jasmine on top. And it's nice. It's nice, light wearing, easy going. And the fact that it doesn't last long may actually appeal to some of you. I know folks that are just not interested in their fragrances going on and on forever. I think this is lovely, glorious for summer evenings when you don't want to do the usual like summery, either floral or fresh or aquatic or tropical fragrances, but you still want something light wearing and interesting, very interesting sandalwood, fresh, slightly floral fragrance. Johnny Was. If you've tried others from this same line, they look like this with the same kind of cap and bottle design, please let us know in the comments. I would be interested in exploring others. I did look up some reviews and I just don't know. So I trust you all. Let me know what you think about other fragrances from this line. I was really intrigued with this next fragrance. So when it showed up on sale on where? Joma Shop. I shop on there way too much. I jumped on this fragrance. I thought I liked the bottle, and I think I still do, but I want to share something about it that I'm not that crazy about. So this is from Armani Privé, their sort of more luxe line, and this is called Blanc Kogane. There was a noir version that came out with this one that has a black bottle. I haven't tried that, so let me know if you think that one is worth trying out. Also, the milkiness. I love this sort of creamy, off-white, almost like a stone color. It captures me. And I've always liked the Armani Privé bottles with these odd tops on them. So what I like and don't like at the same time about this bottle is that it's supposed to have this sort of kintsugi motif here. And if you're not familiar with that, that is the Japanese art form of filling cracks in objects with metal to fuse it back together and make the crack a beautiful thing. So like my husband turns wood. So this is a bowl. Actually, both of those are bowls that he made. And let's say, for example, that bowl cracked. He would fill it with copper or with, sometimes he uses this blue like agate material. any number of sort of metals or other materials that you can melt down and fill the crack with to sort of create this beautiful effect called kintsugi. So that's what's happening here. And I like the concept of it, but I think it's like weirdly executed here. So I just want to share that. But the fragrance, the fragrance, it's supposed to be, according to the website, this deconstructed musk that features, it says animalic notes. There's nothing animalic about this fragrance to me. And this infusion, what is the word that they used? A jasmine super infusion. Whoa, do I get a lot of jasmine? Not uniquely. I'm gonna tell you what this smells like to me because it hit me like a ton of bricks when I tried it out. It smells a lot like white linen, which I'll be talking about in an upcoming video here as a floral aldehyde fragrance that I think is worth trying out. So if you remember white linen from the 80s, 90s, when it had its heyday, its real heyday, it is a very, very strong, clean smelling aldehydic fragrance. Like the aldehydes in there are almost too much for some folks, at least up close in the air, it always smells fabulous. This reminds me of a very lightened up version of white linen. So if you thought that fragrance was too much, or if you're looking for a sort of more modern version of that, that's more wearable, give this a try. I do get a lot of aldehydic notes from this fragrance, some backbone of florals, and this nice musk. Let me tell you about what's featured on the website. It talks about a lemon essence and aldehydes at the top with a floral bouquet heart of white jasmine, ylang-ylang, and lily of the valley. I don't pick out particular florals in this, but I do get a floral accord in the fragrance. Okay, so you do pick up some florals. I feel like the aldehydes are the foremost player in the fragrance. And then in the base, there's vetiver and patchouli, which is supposed to give a woodiness. Yeah, there's definitely something really sort of subtly woody in the base of this fragrance. But listen, white linen, if you know what that smells like, this is almost like the watercolor version of that fragrance, a very sort of watered down, much more polite, wearable, well-mannered, tolerable version of white linen, Blanc Kogane. So it's not a love, it's a good like at this point, and we'll see how it develops sort of as I continue to play with it more and wear it. I still haven't done a full day wear of this. I've only sort of spritzed on my arm here and there. So, I don't want to be unfair to the fragrance. We shall see how it goes. Speaking of, I was supposed to update y'all on a couple of fragrances. So hang on, can I stop the show to just tell you about those? Y'all, I always have so much to talk about in these videos and just forget. I forget. I stop filming and I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot to talk about this and that. I mentioned in a recent video that I tried Nette Pear Jam here, which is supposed to be, according to the advertisement for this, a sweet, fruity, pear jammy fragrance. No, it is not, at least not for me. So I did do a full day wear on this. I did some sampling before that, then a full day wear. And then recently I wore it again. And it's a no. Like I had to give it another full try. I like so many others from this brand. Nette, I think they're a brand to check out. They're newer on the scene. I like Thé Vanille. I like Coco Fleur. And I like Rose Parade. I wore Rose Parade recently. So lovely. Happy. Almost like citrusy, rosy fragrance for spring. Bright, fresh. This here, so I described this as smelling heavier on the patchouli and this woodiness. And then there's this sort of plastic thing happening here that was very off-putting for me. And it got even more off-putting as I wore it again. So this is actually on my Mercari. I know some of you love it. Some of you love it. And I'm so glad that it works for you. And for others of you that are interested in this, you've tested it and you want a bottle, you might be able to get a discount on Mercari. It's out there if you're interested. But this was a no for me, like a real distinct no. And then on a happy note, I tested this through Travel Spray, really enjoyed it, talked about how much I loved it in, I think it was the April Fragrance Awards, and just kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about this. And I love that for the fragrance, and I love that for me. So I went ahead and picked up Valentino Donna Born in Roma Green Stravaganza. This is lovely. You can see the other video for my thoughts on it, but it's a really bright, citrusy, almost zesty opening, and then it settles down into this gorgeous floral vanilla fragrance. That beautiful opening kind of dies down a little bit, but it's still super lovely in the dry down, and it's a very happy fragrance. So it's here, and I'm happy, and I have no regrets, and I got some thumbs up here in this house too. So yay! Not just from hubby, but also from the children. The children like this too. And then I talked about salt. What do you call it? Salt and Stone. I bought Hinoki and Bergamot, which is a spray, a body spray that actually just behaves like a light eau de toilette. And I really like that. It's nice, refreshing, clean, citrusy, woody fragrance. And I mentioned that I wanted to pick up the other body sprays. I played it safe and just went with the shower gels. So I have the Bergamot and Hinoki shower gel, which, as you can see, hubby and I are making our way through this big old bottle. I love this. This is such a nice, refreshing, spa-like adventure in the shower. And I also picked up Black Rose and Oud and Santal and Vetiver. Black Rose and Oud is a little strange. I will not be getting a body spray of this, but I will use it in the shower. So my husband used this in the shower too, and it smells amazing. It's masculine with a floral touch to it. And the florals, if you get too close to it, like when you first pump it out, it almost smells like a rotting rose, and you're like, whoa. However, in the air, it's actually quite nice. I don't want a body spray of this, but we will use this up. So I wanted to put this as sort of like a thumbs in the middle. It's not thumbs up and it's not thumbs down. It's in the middle. Okay. And then Santal and Vetiver, I will not pick up a spray of this either, only because I already have other fragrances that smell like this. It's in the neighborhood of probably every sandalwood Santal-ish, Santal this and that fragrance that you have, like Santal 33, and then the Palo Cremo, what is it called? Palo Santal, something or other. I'll put the name of it here. It's like that, and it's nice. It's a nice woody fragrance that's very sandalwoody to me. The Vetiver, I can't say that I pick that out or anything. Yeah, it's just like straight up sandalwood to me, which I love. I will shower with this, but I don't need like the fragrance version. So those are some of the updates I wanted to share. Let's keep going with these other fragrances. So I did have the chance to wear this. I didn't talk about it in one of my last videos. This was back in I think it was a February sale that I did with So Avant-Garde, where they did the Veronica 30 code. Love me some So Avant-Garde. I went ahead and purchased for myself some more fragrances from Antonio Croce, a few of which I've talked about, but I haven't had a chance to update you all on this beauty called Meraviglia. So we've talked about these bottle shapes in other videos and what that reminds me of. The fragrance itself here smells how it looks. It smells like this color. There's something citrusy, green, kind of hay-like and hazy about this fragrance that I think is really captivating. These are mega expensive fragrances. This full retail is $375. You can use my So Avant-Garde code below if you're interested in this fragrance. And well, the samples are sold out on the website right now. I'm so sorry. I wish that they were in stock. The notes here at the top, a slightly green mandarin. I love that. It's a slightly green mandarin. So yeah, this green sort of citrusy thing. It features pomegranate and tea. Do I get pomegranate and tea at the top? Maybe like a little bit of a fruity nuance with a green tea almost. In the middle, there are florals, freesia and tuberose, ylang-ylang, and orris. I can't pick out any of those florals. I do pick out a floral sort of nuance in the fragrance, but by and large, this comes across, like I said, like this hazy, dusty, like hay-like greenness that's actually really cool and intriguing. In the base, cedarwood, musk, and vanilla. The fragrance that it most closely reminds me of is Safari by Ralph Lauren. If you remember, and I still have a bottle of that fragrance, and you think about like what the earth smells like if you're driving, like if you've ever ATV'd, for example, four-wheel driven in a field that has dried grass in it, the dirt's kicking up a little bit, there maybe are some wild blooms in the distance, and there's this sort of like greenish, dusty smell in the air. That's what this smells like. Some of y'all might think that's absolutely disgusting. Nobody wants to smell like that. But I like it, and it does give me that same vibe that Safari gave me. It doesn't smell like Safari itself. It's the sort of same vibe. It also gives me that sort of Chanel number 19 vibe too. So really interesting, soft and delicate for me. Well, let me rephrase that. It actually projects quite a bit and it lasts a long time. But the feeling of this is soft and dry and dusty. So if that sounds good to you, check this out. And I know a lot of you will probably not be interested in that at all. And that's cool too. So for the next one, can I just also pause and say how much I appreciate all of you as viewers. I appreciate that you leave comments and that you talk to each other in the comments and share suggestions and recommendations, and that you keep the comment section positive and cordial, even when you're expressing that you didn't care for a particular fragrance, which is totally fine. Everybody can't like everything. But the reason that I bring up viewers is there is a woman here named Sabrina, hey girl, hey, who has watched a lot of my old videos and heard me talk about a fragrance called Beyond Paradise. Look, y'all, I got the actual bottle. So the newer version of this, the reformulated version or just the newer version, I'm not really sure if it's reformulated or not, is in a different bottle. Like Estee Lauder has changed up their bottles. This was the bottle that I love so much. Look how pretty this sort of teardrop thing is. So Sabrina alerted me that there was a full-ish bottle on Mercari, and I purchased this one. I think it was like in the $50 range. So I don't have regrets about purchasing the bottle. I don't know that I will keep this, and it will be difficult to sell because it has gone off just like, it's not like in its original form. So this is an older bottle, as you might imagine. You know, when you buy secondhand, you're just not sure how something was stored. And it's possible over time that particularly top notes of a fragrance may go off, or the fragrance itself, if it's, you know, made of certain kinds of materials, will deteriorate a little bit over time and all of that. So, you know, when you know a fragrance has gone off, at least for me, it has a sort of a slightly either chemical or sometimes a little bit of a tiny like vinegary distant smell in it. And that's what's happening here. And it's sad because underneath it all, okay, Shakira. Underneath it all, I can smell what this fragrance is supposed to originally smell like. And so the notes in the fragrance, friends, it's supposed to have some hyacinth. There are some things in here I cannot pronounce, and I struggled with this the first time that I reviewed it. Orchid and jasmine. I'm not even going to try with the others. Let's just say there's a bunch of floral notes on top of a woody base here, and some musk, a musky woody base. So I wish that this smelled like it originally did. Is it the most amazing smell in the world, even the original? No, but there's just something nostalgic about these old school fragrances. Y'all, I have several old school fragrance videos on the channel. I have an 80s video, a 90s video, and I have, I think, at least one more really long vintage fragrance video if you're interested in that. But I wanted to share that this is what I meant when I talked about the Estee Lauder Beyond Paradise bottle. I don't know, this just brings back so many memories for me. I can't wear this though because it's gone off a little bit. But thank you, Sabrina, for alerting me, and thank you to all the viewers who are always providing suggestions, recommendations down in the comments. You all rock. For those of you that are always interested in something new that hasn't been talked about 3,411 trillion billion fulfillion times on other channels, allow me to introduce you to a fragrance that I found as I was shopping on Anthropology. If you remember from, I don't remember what video it was that I talked about the fragrance Child by Susan D. Owens. I think it was in the April Fragrance Awards. I found another fragrance as I was perusing the website. I said, I've never heard of that. And the notes captured me. And I was like, I am going to just go ahead and blind buy it. This is called Ensoleille Moi. And I hope I pronounced that right. Ensoleille Moi. I like the bottle, the goldish, bronzy sort of wrap around here. I love the elegant lettering on the front. Bottles matter to me more and more as I get deeper into collecting fragrances. A fragrance has to be really spectacular for me to ignore the bottle at this point. I do like this nice wooden cap with the little sunburst on it. Very pretty. I've never heard of this brand before. I never heard of this fragrance. Love the color of the tint of the gold tint of the juice. Y'all. So this is described as a solar floral. Absolutely. Notes that they are featuring: tiare, bergamot, coconut, ylang-ylang, vanilla, white musk. This is gorgeous, especially on the opening. It has a nice, that solar floral dry down. On the opening, it is bright, vanillic, a happy, juicy coconut, a juicy, creamy coconut in the opening. I do get some of the creamy tropical floral flair here, and a slight hint of like a brightness from the bergamot note, I suppose, or whatever else, whatever other sort of citrusy aspects are in the fragrance. I mean, if you don't know, the notes that are featured are not always the full breakdown of notes in a fragrance. And so just know that. Trust yourself. If you're picking up something else when you're smelling a fragrance that isn't listed, that's totally fine. And also know sometimes you are not picking up certain notes because they are blended with intentionality to create like an accord, you know, versus you picking up the individual fragrance. How did I get off on that tangent? So this is creamy, this is bright, this is floral and vanillic, and just really, really nice. This will show up in my tropical fragrances videos this summer, so stay tuned for this. And then speaking of tropical fragrances, I know some of y'all like a suntan lotion smelling fragrance, and I know a number of you cannot stand it. If you miss, for example, those nice like old school Bain de Soleil types of smells in sunscreen, this was sent to me by the brand. So this is from Maison Matine, and this is Bain de Midi. So you might have seen these on other channels. The brand has sent out a pack of samples to a number of influencers, had them try it, and asked, is there one that you would like? Does one stand out to you? I picked this one. I enjoyed sampling, by the way. The sample pack, for those of you that are fragrance lovers, is super cute. The wrappers are really quirky. The bottles in general, like the full bottles, are quirky. This one in particular has little surfer girls and guys and people on inner tubes. Like, that's just happy summertime. So they're a little kitschy. I will say really quickly before I describe the fragrance, this is probably one of the more affordable niche brands. I mean, we know prices are getting a little wonky out there on fragrances. You're going to get minimalist packaging with this house. And I think the fragrances are $85 for 50 ml for 1.7 ounces. So that's what's going on here. So this does smell very much like sunblock of the past. And I like it for that. I like that for me. I like that for you if you're into it. So if you think about the creamy, floral, solar smells that were put into sunblocks of the past, the oils, for example, that you wore on your skin and then baked out on the beach, it's a little bit like that. This is featuring bergamot and coconut at the top, tiare, ylang ylang, gardenia in the middle, base notes of vanilla and musk, which actually sounds quite a lot like Ensoleille Moi. This one is sort of richer and deeper and heavier on the creamy floral aspects. This one does give you a much more beachy, airier vibe. It's a little bit softer wearing as a fragrance as compared to the Ensoleille Moi, which really does sort of jump up off of your skin and out into the room. Yeah, this is light and fun and flirty, and I like it. I did try the rest from the line, and there were a few others that I liked. I will say the other one that jumped out to me was Poom Poom. Poom Poom. But friends, and I know that has made the rounds here on YouTube a little bit, that one. If you have any Caribbean heritage and or you have friends that grew up in the Caribbean, you know, Poom Poom has a certain meaning. I just couldn't see myself walking around when people approached me and asked, oh, I like that fragrance. What are you wearing? And me opening this mouth, esta boca, to say to people, I'm wearing Poom Poom. No, that just was not going to happen. So I couldn't. That was a no for me. But try the rest of them if you get a chance. The sample pack is really reasonable. These are out on So Avant-Garde too, and you can use my code there, or you can go directly to the website of the brand. I don't have a discount code with the brand itself. So go to the website, maybe get the pack of samples. You can get some of the samples on So Avant-Garde. The package of samples on there is sold out right now, I think. So you'd have to get individual ones. But yeah, thank you to the brand for sending this over. I'm going to enjoy this, and you'll see this again this summer in my summer videos. Keeping with the summer theme, I do have a full bottle of this fragrance on the way. I had not expected to enjoy it as much as I do. I bought a travel spray of Miami Nectar from Ellis Brooklyn just to try it out. So I was like, I don't know. Me and Ellis Brooklyn, sometimes we get along, sometimes we don't. I have enjoyed everything I've sampled. But in terms of like lasting power and whether they really stood out, we've had mixed results with Ellis Brooklyn. The bottle on this fragrance captured me. I just got to say, I've always liked the Ellis Brooklyn shape, the bottle shape. I like the simplicity of the stickers on the front. I like the caps. This color is just so gloriously summery to me. And it's the color of the travel spray, same color on the bottle, even more vibrant as it looks in pictures. Look, spoiler alert, a full bottle of this is on the way, and I would have talked about it today, but it hasn't arrived at my doorstep yet. I went ahead and purchased from Sephora. I think Sephora is the only, right? Am I wrong? The only retailer that's carrying this right now, unless you go straight to the Ellis Brooklyn website. Perhaps it's at other retailers. I don't know. Ulta didn't have it, and some other places I looked did not have it. The opening of this is pink pineapple. I can't say that I've ever eaten specifically pink pineapple. Does that exist in nature? I feel ignorant saying that, but I've only ever had like the traditional pineapple and coconut water. I like the way that the coconut shows up in here. I much prefer a very sort of thick, creamy coconut. And I feel like Ensoleille Moi has a little bit of that creamy coconut in it. I have other creamy coconut fragrances that I enjoy. This is a more watery coconut, but there's something about the way that it plays in here alongside this bright, juicy, sweet pineapple that I think is super fun. There's also plumeria, which is another word for frangipani. Vanilla, amber, it says salted woods in the base. I don't really get saltiness out of this, friends. I don't. And supposedly jasmine, also wild, not just jasmine, but wild jasmine. This is sweet. There is a little bit of creaminess, but it's more sort of a watery creaminess versus some of the other fragrances that are thicker. This is fun and this is bright, easygoing, not a very serious fragrance and not a very mature fragrance. I don't find it to be on the super young end, like body spray-ish, maybe somewhere in between there. But if you like a fresh, sweet pineapple that doesn't come across tart or strong or powerful, and you want it in the tropical direction, surrounded by other tropical notes, because some of the pineapples on the market really have a lot of stronger notes around it. This pineapple is fresh and fun and flirty and not overpowering. It doesn't get sickening. It's just fun. This is a fun fragrance. So I do have the new Kayali on the way. I caved. I wasn't going to. I was trying to wait and see how did the reviews look. And I've had mixed results with Kayali fragrances. Some I've liked and some I just have not. I do like the bottle of it. I like what I think it's going to give, but I'm hearing mixed reviews about it. So it's on the way and I will let y'all know about that one. A while back, I sampled 3 fragrances from Oribe. They make hair products, and I don't know if they make other stuff. Well, it says body and fragrance on their website, but I know them for their ridiculously expensive shampoo and conditioner that I haven't used yet, but one day I will. One day I will. I purchased a little sample pack when I was at Blue Mercury, the store that sells skincare, hair care, makeup. I love that store. And it was on the counter as I was checking out. I think it was like $18 for the 3 fragrances. Sure, threw that in with my order. And I filmed a video talking about these and then didn't like the video and didn't post it. But there was one of the 3 that sort of stayed on my mind. I think this is just a like, but I was so curious about wanting to try it as a full day fragrance. This one is called Desertland. I got a travel spray of it. And this is for those of you that are living in your woody aromatic era. So not for the gourmand girlies, definitely not for the floral ladies, definitely not for the sweet fruity types. This is leaning masculine. I wouldn't say it's totally masculine, but that's a matter of perception and taste. For me, this is a largely woody fragrance with some nice aromatic touches. The key notes that are featured are a bright, crisp juniper berry, the lavender in here, I can smell pine and cedarwood. So if you like those Aveda-like fragrances, this is kind of like a masculine version of that. I wouldn't say it has quite sort of like the essential oil vibe that the air in an Aveda salon has, but it's kind of in that direction. And again, reminds me a little bit of that Joshua Tree fragrance that the name of the Johnny Was fragrance reminded me of. So this doesn't smell like Joshua Tree, Desert Night. This one kind of gives me some vibes of that. So check this out. I don't think that this is super long lasting. I think this is one of those like spray on yourself on a hot summer day and enjoy it for what it's worth and then leave it alone kind of sense. Yeah, but it's easy wearing. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Wildly Me by Florence by Mills, which I talked about in a recent video too. Although this one I would say is a little bit more complex and interesting with a more pronounced lavender, a deeper woodiness. And I like the juniper note in here. It is crisp and it is bright in the fragrance as described on the website. So then if I'm going to buy one desert fragrance, I might as well try to buy them all. So Desert Night, Desert Land. I just realized that this one is also called Desert Divine from Glasshouse. So this is a line I have not explored. Please let me know in the comments if you are familiar with Glasshouse. And what do you think of their fragrances? Is there one that you would recommend or 2 you would recommend? This is Desert Divine. I'm not going to look up the notes because I want to tell you that this fragrance smells as the bottle looks. There's something pretty sort of tart and citrusy. It smells, for me, like you combined grape juice with orange juice and took out any pulp. So it's just sort of the filtered version of those juice scents. There's something a little softly floral, like a white floral and perhaps a woody base, but it's citrusy, it's very bright, and it's very almost like tart, perhaps lingering or leaning in the direction of being slightly sour. So I'd like to play with this. Again, these are first impressions on a number of these, except for the Batman fragrances. I've worn those. I have sprayed Blanc Kogane on. I have done a full wear of the Antonio Croce fragrance. I wore Miami Nectar overnight. I wore Ensoleille Moi overnight. Desert Night from Johnny Was, I did sample overnight. I didn't do a full day wear on this yet. This one I have not worn. This is the only size that I could find it to come in, and I think I got it off of the Derm store. Friends, the Derm store and Blue Mercury, don't forget about those places for fragrances that you might be interested in. And if you don't have an extension on your browser, like a Rakuten or one of those kinds of software programs that help you save money, do that. So Rakuten, when I have it on my browser, there's like a plugin, or I don't even know what the technical term is, but when I go to a website that uses Rakuten, a window will drop down and says you can save an extra, 10% or whatever when you shop on this website today. The rates change. So like Derm Store, sometimes I will get 10% cash back. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Same thing with Sephora and Ulta. I never shop Sephora and Ulta without having that Rakuten thing drop down and I touch that. No, this is not sponsored by Rakuten. I'm just trying to tell y'all how to get a little bit more money back. So Derm Store, Ulta, and Blue Mercury recently were at the 15% cashback rate on Rakuten. And they had sales going on too. So I went on the Derm Store and I got like an extra, I think it was 10 or 15% off of my order. And then on top of that, whatever my order final tally was, Rakuten gives me 15% back into my account. So you can really sort of rack up on discounts that way. Anyway, that was a tangent. Reviews on these fragrances are mixed. That's why I'm asking y'all for your opinion. This one seemed like a safe bet in terms of the fresh citrus nature of it. This is what it smells like. It just came to me. It's like when you first peel a grapefruit, the fresh smell that comes out of there before you even bite into it. That's probably a good way to describe this, with a little bit more sweetness from some other orangey, maybe lemony types of tones, and a little bit of woodiness. So I will let y'all know how this wears. I have like 6 or 7 more that I want to talk about, but for the sake of not keeping y'all on this video for your entire lifetime, let me just say, I got to put in a plug for a Victoria's Secret. Okay, I've talked about how people sleep on the fragrances from this house, and folks just have like written it off as cheap body sprays and all of that. There are body sprays, yes, but there are also fragrances that Victoria's Secret sells. And for the most part, not always, for the most part, they are really mass appealing scents. I picked up Very Sexy C in this beautiful bottle because the descriptions talked about this smelling like an updated modern version of Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana, which is a fragrance that I have enjoyed for a long time and still like. Like my hand still goes up in approval of Light Blue. I think it's a great fragrance. That was a really groundbreaking fragrance for its time. Before I talk about Very Sexy C, I wanted to mention I do have 2 others from the line. I have the good old Very Sexy Eau de Parfum, which has been sort of a staple in my collection for a long time. This is like the 2nd or 3rd bottle of this. And then I have Very Sexy Oasis, which you will see this summer. But I do like the bottles. This is the bigger one, obviously, and the smaller one. And I would encourage you to check those out too. Very Sexy C does smell like a modern updated version of Light Blue. You get that crisp apple, something in the lemon direction, some other maybe soapy notes, perhaps a little like powdery muskiness. But I love the bright, citrusy, fruity opening of this. And I mean fruity in the apple direction, not like berry sweet berries. So there's actually no apple featured on the website, but I tell you, this smells like crisp apple mixed with citrus to me. Italian bergamot, neroli blossom, and cedar are the main notes that are listed for this fragrance, and they describe it as a citrus, floral, woody fragrance. It feels to me very fresh, very happy, very summery, and I think it's great. This is one that I also need to do a full wear on. From the sampling experience I had, it has a nice projection and I would say moderate longevity for the little bit that I've been able to detect, but I will keep you all posted on this. I'm going to round out this video with just sharing some thoughts about 3 lines of fragrances that were recently released. So Jackie Aina with Forever Mood, which by the way, I got a sample pack in the Sephora sale, the pack that came in the white packaging. For the life of me, I can't figure out where in this room or in this house I placed that thing. So I haven't even been able to sample them. I did end up getting the samples from the Charlotte Tilbury. Sorry, I always say her name wrong. Charlotte Tilbury, The Power of Scent to Unlock Emotions. This whole line, it's the names here: More Sex, Love Frequency, Joyphoria, Magic Energy, Calm Bliss, and Cosmic Power. So there's a lot of reviews on this. And I am interested in sampling Orabella fragrances. This is Bella Hadid. She is the daughter of the model Yolanda that was on Housewives of Beverly Hills, if I remember correctly. Or was it Orange County? I think it was Beverly Hills. I actually kind of miss her on the show. She's an interesting character. And sister to Gigi Hadid, which is she's now a famous model. I mean, Bella has done some modeling too. The thing about all three sets of these fragrances that I just have to be honest about, it's the bottles that I'm just like, I don't know about those. People feel all kinds of ways about whether they want to support or not support Jackie Aina. I'm not even getting into all that. Like, I could care less what people think about any of that, whether they like Charlotte Tilbury or not. Again, I don't care. I use some of her makeup, and whether they like the Hadid sisters. What do I care about any of that? All I care about is, do I enjoy the fragrance? Same thing like with the whole Kylie Jenner thing and Cosmic, like I said in the previous video. It really does not affect me one way or the other, the personality of the people and what people think about them. I don't care. But I do care that these bottles across these three lines they aren't doing it for me. I actually thought I liked the Orabella bottles, but then when I went to the website to check it out, I was even going to blind buy one or two. They have a separate stand that's a $35 stand, if I remember correctly, per bottle. I'm like, so you want to charge me all this for the bottle and then I have to buy the stand separate? It was just kind of a turnoff. Sometimes things like that are or are not a turnoff. That particular day, it was just a turnoff. But I will tell you, I'll go ahead and try some of these and let you all know if there are any that I liked. What I did end up trying, I did try More Sex. I tried Joyphoria, and I think I tried Cosmic Power, and they were okay. They didn't really do anything special for me. But there's something so goofy about all three of these bottle designs that just bothers me. And the fact that they all launched at one time. So I feel like I was bombarded by all of these odd bottle design choices, font choices on the bottles, all of that. I was like, no, I'm good. The bottles. I don't know what's going on with that. So that's it for today's video, friends. I wanted to share my thoughts on some latest purchases and whether they have worked out or not, and share with you some of the gifted fragrances that came in PR. I hope you are having a great one. I will see you in the next video. Take care, friends.